Oh, what's number one gonna be? Generic control, the DBcember here, back with some more DBcember. Today we are finishing up with DBcember with the top 12 sagas of Dragon Ball. The top 3 last week we did 4, 5, and 6. You want to check that out? I'll leave it right up there. Also, link down below in the description. Also be in place on my channel with all of my other DBcember videos going in chronological order. And this is actually the last DBcember that they were doing and that they did. So I guess the honorable mentions is something I could do. I don't really want to do the honorable mentions. I'm not really sure if I want to do that. We did the top 12 sagas for the super manga or manga. I say both just so nobody gets mad. But I really hope you're having a good day. I still need to do the videos where I combine the entire top 12 into one long video. So if somebody wants to binge watch, they can do that. So now that I'm not doing these, maybe I can put out one of those a week. So I'm not having to, because I'm not going to spend the time editing this video. And then it'll basically kind of be like a re-upload kind of deal. I'm not really sure. Do you all want that? I read every single comment, so leave some down below. Like I said, hope you have a great day. Shout out to the patrons. Thank you the videos a day early and allow me to not have a paywall on the channel. I really wonder where the Namek and Frieza arc is going to be. It's going to be top 2. Don't know if it's going to be number 1 because I haven't seen Dragon Ball. Only Dragon Ball Z Abridged. But I imagine it's going to be top 2. But let's go ahead and find out what number 3 is. Alright, also, I'm kind of sick. Been sick for the last 3 weeks. 23rd, Tenkaichi. Okay, so that means Frieza and Namek is definitely top 2.
There are plenty of reasons thrown around for Toei to separate the anime, ranging from the change in overall direction of the story to Toei wanting to market it as a new show with all the marketing advantages that would provide them. And as we'd see, this arc does in many ways provide a thrilling finale to this stage of Goku.
Oh, that's when he got shot to the arm.
Hot off a 3-year time skip, we're quickly reintroduced to our lovable cast. Many of them sporting some fresh new designs.
Oh, this video is gonna be long. It's a 30-minute video.
Nothing quite beats seeing Goku now fully grown. And while for American audiences who started with Z, this would seem to be a return to form,
for Japanese audiences, this must have been wild. Over 165 chapters and 3 whole years of Kid Goku. And now, he's all grown up. It's a pretty monumental, even daring decision on the part of Toriyama, as it fundamentally affected Goku's iconic design. Then again, I'm a Naruto fan, so it's not like I haven't had a chance to experience something similar in real time.
By the way, if you want to, you can check out my Naruto review series over on my channel, Totally Not Mark.
Mark with the plugs.
Still cuts that distinct silhouette.
So many
while
plugs.
he is aged up here, we see him back in that classic gi. And more importantly, his crucial innocent personality is intact, though he is markedly more mature in many ways.
Honestly, this may be my favorite version of Goku. It's a perfect combination of playful and experienced.
Because he's not fully grown yet.
He seemingly achieved
it's training with God.
A calm confidence that plays well into his cheerful nature. And each solution he pulls out over the course of the tournament is just so satisfying, because we've seen him grow into the fighter he is today. Though I'll never forget Toriyama for getting rid of Goku's tail for good in this arc.
But the bigger reveal of this saga is a full-grown Piccolo Jr. While we got small, adorable peeks at him in the arc prior, here he's fully matured and out for revenge for what Goku did to his father. The most noticeable change in his design is that he's significantly younger looking than King Piccolo was, thinner and more angular, and sports a brand new, now iconic outfit. We also find over the course of the tournament that he's more complex than his father.
Still doesn't have a home.
Speaking of the tournament, this is, in our opinion, the best Toriyama ever wrote. Though we don't begrudge his more gag-oriented matches from previous tournaments, here, it feels like there's very little fat. Each match contributes to the greater story, and it all starts with the first match.
We're introduced to Cyborg Tao in the preliminaries, where he
Cyborg Tao
from the pot. And while it's certainly a surprise to see him back, and deadlier than ever, his inclusion in the tournament is solely to provide Ten Shinhan closure after the 22nd Tenkaichi Budokai. Which doesn't make this match bad, far from it. It's just maybe the weakest of the matches by virtue of it not contributing to the overall story of this arc. But immediately after this, we find Goku versus...
Name withheld! I mean, Chi-Chi. Honestly, it's hard to say whether or not Toriyama played the long game with this one, or if he just so happened to make the perfect pull at
This
the
is before they were married.
I'm not sure which would be more impressive, honestly, because having a character that we haven't seen for 3 years suddenly reappear organically, and with a monumental twist to the plot, either way, you have to give this man kudos. Especially with the subtle hints we're given to let us know that it's her. From her accent, to her hair, to the promise she mentions to Goku.
Yeah, about getting married because he thought marriage was for food.
Peak Goku. It's a fun, monumental match that would forever change a protagonist's life and the very course of the series as a whole.
Must be nice.
But screw romance, because the next match is one of my favorites, and it's arguably Krillin's best fight in the franchise. We know from the outset that Krillin isn't going to win this match. Hell, he knows it. As such, this fight isn't really about whether or not Krillin can win, but whether or not he can prove himself as a worthy opponent. Not just to Piccolo, but to the audience. Krillin's always played second fiddle to Goku, and despite his impressive outings before, he's struggled a lot. So we're essentially prepared here for a jobbing. But this plays out as anything but, with Krillin managing to straight up shock Piccolo with his strength, tenacity, and strategy. Though our brave bald boy
he gets thrown around,
he proves to Piccolo that this fight won't be as easy as he thinks.
This acknowledgement on Piccolo's part is also an
important
reminder that he is not the same character as his father. He takes this revelation in stride and even shows a budding, begrudging respect, which all on its own makes him a more compelling character.
But no time to talk about that, because next is Yamcha versus Shen!
Who's Shen?
Oh, Yamcha, you poor, poor bastard. First chance in the series to getting past the quarterfinals, and Toriyama throws you up against God. And while Yamcha whips out a brilliant new technique with an amazing direct hit, proving he's still definitely an outstanding fighter, he is still but a stepping stone for Kami to get to Piccolo. But this reveal is
why does Kami want to fight Piccolo?
And a great wrinkle to the arc. God refuses to stay passive here like he did with King Piccolo, and he's even hijacked a person's body just to hide who he is to get closer to Junior.
Before those two can meet in the ring, we first need the biggest rematch in this series so far.
Tien and Goku, back when Tien was like, you know, evil.
Now this is a fantastic fight, but its main purpose here, to give us an idea of just how far Goku has come between King Piccolo and now. Oh, and also reintroduce the weighted clothing. Tien is outclassed here, and when he busts out the multiform technique, Goku just shows how wide their gap has become by recognizing his weakness and defeating him effortlessly.
Leading to God meeting his nephew in the ring. And as it turns out, God's no slouch. He does everything he can to put down his evil half.
God is no slouch in a fight. Imagine that.
Our Piccolo learned how to reverse, putting God in a bottle and swallowing him down, keeping him safe in his tum-tum, leaving only Goku versus Piccolo Jr. And this match, well,
it's our #2 fight in all of Dragon Ball.
It's our #2 fight in all of Dragon Ball.
If you want to see a real breakdown of this fight, as
which I also reacted, it's in the playlist.
Previously, check out our DBcember list from 2018.
An interesting aspect.
I'm probably making a video with like
biggest beats would return in the
each DBcember, but without my intro and outro, just kind of like
beam struggle,
one intro and outro, all of them together.
Legs being disabled, which isn't to take away from either fight. The parallels are mostly fascinating. Make no mistake, this fight is very much its own beast.
It's a beautiful, remarkable
fight, as
creative as it is brutal. And the win on Goku's part is genuinely one of the most harrowing, desperate victories in all of Dragon Ball. But it's a victory all the same, and this finally sees Goku as the champion. It's the journey he's been on since he began training with Roshi, and through it all, his goal has been clear.
Also, apparently he never found out that Jackie Chun is Roshi.
Not money, not glory, not pride, but just to be better and protect those around him.
I also love how Goku just gives Piccolo a senzu bean, hoping that a bit of kindness and promise of a better fight would help him come around. And how he tells Kami, "No thanks, God, I don't want your job."
It's worth noting that this saga might have made our #2, or even #1, if it had been both grander in scale and hadn't relied on the tournament formula. Though it is arguably the best tournament in Dragon Ball, it's also Toriyama's third go at it. And while it nails almost every single note, it's a song we've heard
no wonder why it's so good.
And it's one with built-in narrative limitations.
Also, DeviantArt, isn't there like
a very narrowly focused story? But in that same vein, Toriyama works wonders within these limitations, and the story is one of the best paced and executed in Dragon Ball.
We got really granular in this review, partially because we wanted to emphasize just how little time is wasted in every fight, how incredible each encounter is, and just how phenomenal Toriyama nails
in the
this
callbacks
tournament.
And stuff. Yeah.
The last two Tenkaichi Budokai
Why
were
does she have no clothes
in their own rights, but in many ways, they were all leading up to this, where Goku could show the fruits of his labor.
So what happened to the 24th Tenkaichi Budokai tournament?
Off into the sunset.
This genuinely feels like the end of an era. Hell, the manga frames this finale as so monumental, Toriyama made sure to add a little Roshi at the bottom of the page to inform us that, don't worry, there's still more Dragon Ball to come.
Oh.
It's just so emotionally satisfying.
That's how you,
every single
that's how you end the arc.
If it really had
or a saga.
Here, it would have felt right. Also, Manga Fushigi Adventure is the best Dragon Ball opening. I will not be taking any questions. Thank you.
No idea what that is.
You know, some people might argue that going into space is jumping the shark.
Is this Namek?
Toriyama could result to time travel.
Or open up a multiverse.
What if they made an evil Goku?
Or if they kept revealing new gods to replace the old ones?
Or started giving characters transformations instead of actual character growth.
So this saga is a wild ride, y'all.
What's number 1 gonna be?
The entire series was frankly flipped on its side. Half the cast is f***ing dead or in a hospital. And with God pulling a Nietzsche, there are no Dragon Balls to bring him back. So Bulma, Krillin, and Gohan have to Star Trek to Namek, Piccolo's newly revealed homeworld, and their only hope.
Is it gonna be like when Vegeta shows up?
More than peaceful Namekians.
When
they'll find a terror beyond hell.
Or when the Raditz and them show up? Raditz and Vegeta and Nappa?
Everything that could go wrong essentially does. Followed not only by Vegeta, but a far more imposing threat in the sadistic Frieza. These opening chapters are a scramble for everyone involved. And before you know it, there are more moving parts than Dragon Ball had ever had to deal with before. Yet none of it feels difficult to keep track of. And instead it just builds a sense of anxiety and excitement as characters change locations, come into conflict, steal Dragon Balls, and either bluff their way out of confrontations, or blast their way out of them.
One of the most unique aspects of this arc is how little Goku factors into its first half. While Dragon Ball would be no stranger to sidelining Goku until he was absolutely necessary, he'd be largely out of play for the first 36 chapters of this 88-chapter saga, giving Krillin, Gohan, and Vegeta a lot of focus early on. This makes
that's never a bad thing.
Dynamic because without Goku
I love when shows do that.
Several of these characters would have to play the world's most dangerous game of cat and mouse mixed with Don't Wake Daddy. And in this case, Daddy be Frieza.
And Frieza as a villain is one of the best Toriyama's ever written, if not the best. And his introduction is top-notch. His interrogation and subsequent slaughter of the Namekian village communicates everything you need to know about him. He radiates sadism.
He doesn't care.
His aggressively condescending politeness to great effect. You come to positively despise this motherfucker, but you also can't look away when he's at his absolute worst, like Christoph Waltz in Glorious Bastards.
That's a bingo.
I know that reference. I've seen that movie.
Strength, as does the way that every character familiar with Frieza speaks about him. He is not a king to be served. He is a god to be feared.
This arc also
can you compare Frieza
to Goku
the Joker from like Batman?
He wasn't only their absolute ruler. He was the one who eliminated their planet, leaving only a handful of them alive. His genocide of Goku and Vegeta's race ties him directly to their fates, and though this is most definitely a retcon on Toriyama's part, it does a lot to elevate the narrative of this conflict, while also making it personal. And though Goku may not value his Saiyan heritage, he will inherit the responsibility of avenging all of that death and destruction that Frieza wrought.
Frieza isn't the only villain of the arc that stands out, though. Zarbon and Dodoria proved to be formidable minions, and the Ginyu Force helped shake the arc up in an amazing way. Their bombastic personalities
Zarbon having the first transformation,
violence, all the while homaging Super Sentai of the time. They all provide interesting techniques and spectacular battles, and put our heroes on the brink of death more than once.
And some naturally do die.
The minions provide conflict and development for one particular character. Vegeta.
To say that Vegeta is the star of the first half of the arc is an understatement.
I honestly believe it's the best he'd ever been written in the entire original manga.
Although Krillin, Gohan, and to a lesser extent Bulma are our protagonists in this first half, it's Veggie who really gets to shine, as he plays both an active and reactive role throughout. Thanks to Frieza's inability to read power levels and his scouters being destroyed, Vegeta is able to sneak around and operate in the shadows, all the while slaughtering the guilty and innocent alike in order to collect the Dragon Balls. And though he's still undeniably a villain here, his contrast and conflict with Frieza make him seem almost like an anti-hero in comparison.
This was far from Toriyama's first time pitting a previous arc's big bad up against its current. But unlike with Piccolo and Tenshinhan, Vegeta is still rotten to the core, meaning every action he takes against Frieza is also against our heroes. And when Krillin and Gohan are put in between the rock and a hard place of having to choose Vegeta over Frieza, they have every reason to feel conflicted.
Of course, not long before Goku arrives, Vegeta's part in the story essentially mimics Piccolo's. He must join forces with Earth's heroes in order to stop Frieza from attaining victory.
Or they'll kill you all.
Piccolo would make an heroic sacrifice, Vegeta would get everything he had coming to him.
That all you got?
Dead.
But you have to give it to Toriyama. Even though he'd shown Vegeta to be an unrepentant murderer, you still feel the slightest bit of sympathy as Frieza brutally dismantles his proud confidence with a pervasively vicious glee.
Speaking of Piccolo, Toriyama cleverly brings him back to life in order to set up a brilliant gambit. With him alive, Kami and Popo are able to bring the Earth Dragon Balls together in order to ultimately save the day. We also get to see Piccolo return to his homeworld, discover a prototype of what would become Fusion later down the road, and help keep everyone alive long enough for Goku to do the thing.
Regarding Goku,
the Spirit Bomb.
He's, well, a bit of a tough topic.
Much
of the major conflict on Namek happens with him either on his way to the planet itself or out of commission in the healing tank. He doesn't really feel like a vital part of the narrative for a majority of the saga. Once he arrives, he provides us with some impressive examples of just how much he's grown. And while we're absolutely thrilled to see him here to save the day, he still feels a little out of place at first.
But as Vegeta lay dying, we see him bestow the burden of defeating Frieza.
You're feeling bad about
Goku.
Vegeta.
This elite,
of course, Goku's gonna feel weird.
Must entrust this lower-class warrior to finish what he could not, and Goku solemnly accepts. He may not.
I'm pretty sure it's also when he first went Super Saiyan.
But he recognizes both Vegeta
after
as a
Krillin
warrior
died.
and Frieza as a tyrant. And with all the pain and suffering he's already caused his friends and family, he's made it his personal mission to put Frieza down. After getting to know Vegeta over the course of the last two sagas and knowing what this means to him, this scene hits hard.
What follows next is the longest fight in the franchise.
Yeah.
Both famously and infamously.
There's a desperation that slowly mounts as Goku realizes just how utterly outmatched he truly is.
And also, it was a curb stop, which does not make a good fight.
It does little but singe his hand, so he's forced to use the Spirit Bomb. And unlike the one on Earth, this sucker's massive. And while it doesn't quite get the job done, the sight of such a huge version of the attack has stuck with audiences for years. It's really freaking cool.
And it all leads up to one of the most spectacular moments in Dragon Ball.
Hey guys,
Super Saiyan. Turns into confetti.
Goku turning Super Saiyan.
Yeah.
We've mentioned it in other countdowns, but it bears repeating.
Number
this
one.
Changed Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
The scene of anger,
but this is number two.
Horror created something new, dazzling, and game-changing that would inspire countless other properties for decades to follow.
Super Saiyan Son Goku is iconic. From the build-up to the climax to Goku's destruction of Frieza, we see a legend fulfilled. It feels as if Goku's whole life has led up to this one point. Following this,
and all it took was curling and he turned into confetti.
Like an exercise in catharsis as Frieza is demolished, and Frieza's desperate
after he'd
gamble
been
of
curb
blowing up the
stomping
planet,
everyone,
leading to a harrowing countdown to destruction, makes for a fantastic set piece. At the end, though, it's Frieza's hubris that seals his defeat, and we watch as Goku is possibly lost, along with the vanishing world.
Nah.
But the moment Frieza enters the fray, the pacing of the story slows to an absolute crawl.
And it's only made worse in the anime. Every joke, every meme you've heard about Dragon Ball's bad pacing, that's exemplified here.
Goku's fight with Frieza does have some impeccably well-crafted shots, though, with stellar composition.
But if it wasn't for that, it would be number one.
Creativity throughout.
Also, while Goku embracing his Saiyan heritage is conceptually interesting, he'd already established that he considered himself an Earthling before anything else, and his connection to this extinct race are tenuous at best. So to see him say, "I am the Super Saiyan Son Goku," rings
he did the thing.
Hollow. Furthermore, this arc introduces an issue that would plague Dragon Ball for years to come. Power creep.
Power levels in Dragon Ball have always been a source of consternation. While their introduction
served
the
only
plot of the
1,000?
Saiyan Saga to help communicate the divide in strength between characters, these numbers would balloon to proportions that would soon hurt the narrative far more than help it. And some characters are used to questionable effect.
Bulma does not need to be in this story at all. Toriyama wanted to call back to the classic hunt for the Dragon Balls by including Krillin and Gohan, Goku's son, but this story ultimately ended up sidelining her in a really bad way. Funny enough, I think this is one of the reasons a lot of OG dub fans didn't like her. They were introduced to her at her worst. Luckily, the following sagas utilized her much more effectively. And hey, it's after she has a kid, so it's kind of like the inverse of Videl, Chi-Chi, and Android 18.
And Frieza's use of transformations here is the worst iteration of this trope. It's too convenient, and thus makes prior conflicts feel less meaningful. But this saga managed to make it this high on the list.
Did anybody stay dead?
How? Because despite its
other than the
shortcomings,
Namekians,
this arc manages to accomplish some amazing feats.
Taking us to another world, introducing us to one of the most marvelous villains in the franchise, utilizing Vegeta to perfection with a stellar, exciting first half, and giving us an amazing transformation that Goku is put through hell to unlock in its second, all facilitating one of the most climactic showdowns in anime history on a dying planet.
Though it makes its fair share of mistakes along the way, this arc attempts to do a lot. And there's something to be said about a story and a storyteller that tries something new and epic. We can accept that it's got its flaws, but we all remember being glued to our seats and our manga volumes thrilled at what was coming next. It honestly can't be emphasized enough just how grandiose this part of the story feels and the gravitas that comes with it. We do criticize the ballooning power levels, but it still feels insane when Frieza reveals where his base form sits, and those transformations continue to ratchet up the fear and despair for our characters. This saga is ambitious, climactic, and a total thrill ride, and has stuck with fans for years after.
I'll also highly recommend that if you're looking to rewatch this arc, try out Kai, especially if you're going to watch it in English. It cuts down a lot of the pacing issues with the original anime, while also making some fixes from the manga. Also, Christopher Ayers as Frieza is untouchable in
Christopher Ayers,
providing a performance that is a standout of the franchise. Love and laughter always, man.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Love and laughter always.
May 16th, October 18th. That's unfortunate. I remember hearing about that. That was a really big deal. But what's gonna be number 1? Wait. December 3rd. Well, I guess they had already recorded. Joji, I don't know who you
Number
are.
1.
What's number 1?
Why does this feel so hard?
Because you love Dragon Ball?
It's the last one.
And you love talking about Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
Actually getting some animation
Just can't believe this is the last one. The last entry of the last DBcember.
Well then, guess we better give it our all, huh?
Right. The Saiyan Saga is, in our opinion, the best representation of everything that Dragon Ball is.
I figured it would have to be. The top, the Namek Saga.
That fundamentally changes the series, with the reveal that our main character, Goku, is actually part of an alien race. This revelation would bring great violence, despair, but also growth, as Goku's unknown lineage suddenly catches up to him and his home, and wreaks havoc in its wake.
We've talked about this in the past, but Raditz's reveal of Goku's alien origin is such a monumental moment. Rightfully, it eclipses the reveal that they're related,
they think he was
for
before?
Goku obviously wouldn't really mean anything. He's grown up on Earth,
what did the
and his real
fandom
family
think?
doesn't include Raditz. Though Raditz doesn't last long, Goku loses his life and finds himself making his way to another new master in the afterlife, who would train him to face an even bigger looming threat.
Goku and Piccolo versus Raditz is a great fight to start off this saga with. Though it might not rank
and then
high
Goku
for
dies.
fans in terms of its overall
I can't wait to show
watching
Kirby
these two
Dragon Ball Z
rivals
Abridged.
forced to struggle against a frightening new opponent
She has
is
no
exciting,
idea.
and you can feel the desperation as they throw together a plan. One that ultimately ends in Goku's death. That's right, our main character has died.
Yep, that's what I was like.
Where death means nothing, true, but it's still a beautiful.
It was like episode 3 of Dragon Ball Z Abridged or something.
And his death even manages to move the plot
what?
forward with the introduction of King Kai.
Goku has had many masters: Kame Sennin, Karin, Popo and Kami, Whis, and among them, for me, King Kai ranks pretty high, just below Roshi, by virtue of him being so unconventional, colorful, and playing such a huge role in the material to come. And his training conditions for Goku are also a lot of fun. And the mere concept of death being a pathway, or in this case, snake way, to self-improvement.
I look forward to Dragon Ball Z Abridged again.
Fascinating concept.
Get an excuse to watch it all.
Inspired by Journey to the West.
During all that, though, Piccolo takes Gohan under his tutelage. After seeing the boy explode with a power that dwarfs both him and his rival, Piccolo is hell-bent on molding Goku's wimpy son into a fighter capable of protecting the Earth. And part of that process involves survival training, aka leaving a 4-year-old in the wilderness to fend for himself.
With dinosaurs.
What follows is actually exceptionally heartwarming, as we see Piccolo slowly come around on this poor, vulnerable kid. It's effective storytelling on Toriyama's part, and a level of emotional interaction and growth he rarely explores.
During all of this, our gang heads up to Kami's lookout to train, and while the manga doesn't show us any of it, the anime goes a long way to help expand on their development.
The triangles.
Unfortunately, no amount of training could prepare them for the Saiyans, who, upon their first appearance, decimate an entire city with a single casual attack. It's an intense moment of destruction that dwarfs any we've seen before, and effectively shows us just how strong these two enemies really are, especially when you consider the one who delivers the attack is Nappa, who answers to his diminutive, domineering partner, Vegeta. It's a fantastic introduction.
Once our
when the really powerful guy answers somebody else, it's a little bit concerning.
Time to reminisce before the fight gets underway. And between the Cybermen and Nappa, the brutality here is a grisly sight. Though we're introduced to amazing new techniques and team-ups, fighter after fighter is felled, tragedy topping tragedy, all culminating in Piccolo, the reincarnated Demon King, sacrificing his life for a child, not even his own. It's a powerful scene, and it's the perfect climax for Piccolo's growth up until this point.
I mean,
luckily, before Gohan and Krillin can meet the
same
fate,
Goku arrives now equipped with the Kaioken. His swift defeat of Nappa is as sweet as candy after his onslaught, but Vegeta's betrayal is the real capper. We see here that our final opponent isn't just powerful, he's heartless. And
did he actually betray Nappa? Did they put that in the Abridged?
Starting off with the most iconic face down in the franchise, Goku has to use every bit of his new training just to keep pace with Vegeta, leading up to an insane beam struggle. And after Vegeta loses, he makes a fake moon to transform into the mighty Ozaru.
And that's where this fight gets even more
And then I'm pretty sure he gets his tail cut off.
Showing as a kaiju in the previous saga felt
Did I say that right? English is hard.
It's a force of terror and destruction, fast enough to keep up with Goku and strong enough to crush him. It's only with the help of Krillin, Gohan, and Yajirobe that they're able to put an end to this madness. This isn't just Goku versus Vegeta anymore. It's every remaining Earthling fighter versus Vegeta. Every single one of them is a necessary player here, which is pretty damn cool. Watching them all band together against this threat instead of the classic 1v1 showdown is a treat, and something we always appreciate from Dragon Ball.
Luckily for our heroes, Vegeta's got his sights set solely on Gohan.
Ow,
so
it hurts.
Krillin has the opportunity to take Goku's unused Spirit Bomb to try and seal the deal.
I'm not well.
And though he misses, thanks Yajirobe, Gohan's finally able to land a vital shot and rebounds the ball at the last moment, finally finishing off Vegeta. Or at least you'd think.
Surprise, motherfucker.
He's a Saiyan.
That's not enough. And the tiny terror, bloodied and bruised, continues his rampage. Before Gohan does some totally contrived bullshit by growing back his tail, becoming an Ozaru from Vegeta's fake moon, and then crushing the Saiyan beneath him. But it's super entertaining and dramatically ironic contrived bullshit.
And though Krillin tries to
regrew his tail,
end Vegeta's life, a selfish Goku begs for his friend to spare this broken mass murderer in hopes of one day being able to fight him again. After this fight, they're all barely holding on by a thread. This battle has left them all utterly wasted. It's an amazingly satisfying yet poignantly bittersweet victory. Hard fought with several casualties and the victors in tatters. They're wrecked, but they fucking won.
And the anime goes the extra mile in the recovery of the Fallen's bodies. It's an intensely somber scene complete with an emotionally ruined Bulma who can barely hold it together. But in the darkness lies a
pretty sure they cut that from the Abridged.
And a new goal set before them. Next stop, Namek. It's the perfect ending to this saga, providing us with a heartbreaking but ultimately hopeful denouement and leads us right into the next story. So we went
from the same saga straight to the Namek saga. So number 1 to number 2?
What we felt like was missing from the likes of Dragon Ball Super.
One of the most interesting narrative through lines in this saga is Goku's heritage. His connection to the Saiyan race doesn't affect him on an emotional level, he rejects that outright. But it's what brings this conflict to Earth in the first place, and is a huge point of contention for Vegeta, who sees himself as an elite, while Goku is lower class. This dynamic works incredibly well, because it not only further highlights Goku as the underdog, but also underscores his loyalty. He's an Earthling, goddammit! Even if the franchise would slowly but surely associate his most endearing characteristics with his Saiyan biology. Yes, I'm salty about that.
The fight against the Cybermen and Nappa are so full of amazing sacrifices and losses. We've never seen death on this scale before, and it turns the despair up to 11 as the strongest among them can barely scratch Nappa, who's the second in command. But it similarly gives our heroes a moment to show just how far they've come, even if the fruits of their labor can't stack up against the Saiyan brute. It also offers us the perfect big damn hero moment for Goku and sets up the premise for the next saga.
But the real highlight here is the non-stop brawl against Vegeta. While some other fights in Dragon Ball would feel bloated and overly long, this fight actually feels perfectly paced. There's never a dull moment as things escalate via the Kaioken, the Uzaru, the Spirit Bomb, freaking Yajirobe and his sword.
It's also wonderful to watch Piccolo and Gohan develop. These two are the emotional core of most
father
of the
son.
saga. They both provide depth and growth as they influence
I
one
love
another.
that joke in the
Gohan
Abridged.
becoming a stronger, more confident fighter.
Not learning how to
becomes
dodge.
A more empathetic, caring person. His death is maybe one of the most effective in the franchise and is done impeccably. kudos to the anime for this scene. I mean, it's brilliant.
This saga, in a lot of ways, feels like the perfect version of this particular formula Toriyama had begun with the King Piccolo saga. No other arc does it quite this well, this consistently. It checks every box. This is Dragon Ball at its peak.
#1 saga. Is there any downsides to this?
You all right, buddy?
Yeah, I'm good.
Hey, I just wanted to say thanks for bringing me on for this one, you guys.
Yeah, for the last
Dragon Ball's
one,
been
too.
Close to my heart for a long time, and honestly, you guys helped to keep that love alive long into my adulthood. I've always enjoyed hearing your takes, whether it be here or in your Bridge series, and so I guess what I'm trying to say is it was honestly a blast to get to talk about what I love here with both of you.
Mark, my man, I love your reviews. You always have such a critical yet heartfelt perspective on everything you talk about.
Oh, wow.
And you've always managed to give me something to consider and
One Piece? I have a One Piece channel. I still need to find an editor for that.
And your team. Thank you so much for joining us this year.
Anytime, Scott.
DBcember has always been a way for us to show Dragon Ball our love outside of DBZA. A way we could take deep dives and explore what makes it tick, and most of all, what made us love it in the first place. We hope more than anything, whether you disagree with our placement here or any other year, that you feel that love, and maybe even found some of your own reflections on the franchise.
Thank you to everyone at home for being a part of DBcember these last 8 years. Dragon Ball literally changed our lives. A lot of these. So getting to spend time nerding out about it with the people I care about, with an audience who cares to hear it, it's been so awesome.
That piano in the background.
You've all been awesome. So please, from us here at TFS, all of us,
have a Merry Christmas,
a Happy Holidays, and a Happy New Year. And thank you one and all.
Takahata!
Our last.
DBcember.
Well, that got sad real fast. Nick, if you're watching this video, how hard was that to record? How hard was it to say goodbye? Yeah, I mean, you don't have to if you don't want to, but if you are watching the off chance, I know you watch these from time to time and you're subscribed to the channel, how hard was that? Because I could tell that that was really difficult for everyone to say goodbye. Like that, I mean, I understand. You all do a really good job. That's one thing about Team 4 Star. You all do a really good job of, like, ending things before they, you know, get drawn out, you know? Like, they don't push the envelope. They, like, will end at a good stopping point. Like, they get burnt out. They don't want to put out subpar content. They don't want to tarnish the you know, the legacy or anything like that. So, if they ran out of ideas for DBcember, then they ran out of ideas for DBcember, and they'd rather keep the list that they did, the 8 ones that they did, and make sure that they were good. So, it was a great time watching DBcember videos. I'm not sure what I'm going to do next. These were just kind of like a short little thing that's been requested for a very, very long time, and you all just took off and ran with it. So thank you so much for watching these videos, supporting the channel by being subscribed or commenting or liking the video or becoming a patron or whatnot. Like I said, Dragon Ball Z Bridge with Kirby. Wow, it's going to be coming next month. So yeah, next month we should start Dragon Ball Z Bridge with Kirby, and that's going to be great. Probably going to fly through about the first 10 episodes because it is rough. But she hasn't seen Dragon Ball. She's seen, like, bits and pieces, but never, like, the actual thing. So, and she wasn't a big fan of it. So hopefully we can make her love it, and I know she's going to love it. It's going to be a great time. But this kind of feels weird. This is kind of like how I felt when I finished up with Red vs. Blue. Because I did Red vs. Blue for, like, 2 or 3 years. So that was kind of nuts. But DBcember, top 12 sagas of Dragon Ball. Do you agree or disagree? I read every single comment, so leave some down below. I hope you have a great one for the rest of the day. Hopefully this video made your day just a tiny little better. But until next video, take care and cue the music.
We were playing